You passed the exam. But you told yourself it was luck. You got the promotion. But you told yourself they made a mistake. Someone told you that you are beautiful. Someone told you that you are talented. Someone told you that they are proud of you. And every single time, a voice inside your head said, "They are wrong. They do not really know me. If they knew the real me, they would not say that." You have achieved things, real things, things that took real effort and real courage. And still, at the end of the day, when the room goes quiet and the noise stops, you feel it. That familiar, heavy, exhausting feeling. The feeling that you are still not enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not worthy enough. Just not enough. If you have ever felt this, and research from Psychology Today confirms that almost every human being on this planet has felt this at some point, then this video is for you. I am David Phil. Welcome to Learn English with One Question. And today we answer one of the deepest, most human questions that has ever existed. Why do people feel like they're not enough? I want to tell you about a woman named Layla. Layla was extraordinary. She spoke 3 languages. She had a university degree. She worked at a company she loved. She had friends who cared about her. From the outside, her life looked like a success story. But every morning, before she got out of bed, Layla would open Instagram. And she would scroll. She would see a woman with a better body, a man with a better job, a couple with a more beautiful relationship, a friend with a newer car. And before she had even spoken one word, before she had even made one cup of coffee, Layla already felt behind, already felt less, already felt like she was losing a race she never agreed to run. This is our first vocabulary word. Inadequacy. Inadequacy. Inadequacy is the feeling that you are not good enough, that you do not measure up, that something important is missing inside you. Layla felt inadequacy every single morning, not because her life was small, but because she was measuring her real, imperfect, honest life against other people's carefully edited, filtered, and curated highlights. Layla tried harder. She worked longer hours. She went to the gym more. She read more books. She smiled bigger in photos. She performed the version of herself that she thought the world wanted to see. But psychologists call this self-neglect masked as generosity. She was giving everything to the world and leaving nothing for herself. And one evening, she sat alone in her apartment after a day where 3 people had complimented her work. And she cried, not because something bad had happened, but because she was exhausted. Exhausted from trying to become enough. Exhausted from running toward a finish line that kept moving. And in that quiet, honest moment, Layla asked herself a question she had never dared ask before. What if I have been wrong? What if I was already enough, and nobody taught me how to see it? Research from Serenium Wellness and Psychology Today confirms that this feeling, the feeling of not being enough, affects people across all ages, all cultures, all levels of achievement and success. It does not care if you are rich or poor. It does not care if you are educated or uneducated. It does not care how many followers you have or how many awards sit on your shelf. It sits quietly inside brilliant people, successful people, kind people and loving people, and whispers the same lie over and over again. You are still not enough. So why does this happen? Why does the feeling of not enough follow so many people, even people who have every reason to feel proud? I am going to give you 4 clear, research-backed reasons. And with each reason, I will teach you powerful English vocabulary words, real words, words that educated English speakers use every single day. Are you ready? Let's go. Reason number 1. It starts in childhood, and it stays in silence. Psychologists from multiple universities, including research published in 2025, confirm that feelings of inadequacy almost always begin in childhood. Not because parents are evil, not because teachers are cruel, but because children are like sponges. They absorb everything around them without filters. When a child is criticized too often, our second vocabulary word is criticism. Criticism. Criticism is the act of pointing out what is wrong or not good enough. When a child receives too much criticism and not enough encouragement, their developing brain builds a belief system around one central idea. I am flawed. Flawed, our third vocabulary word, flawed. Something that is flawed has an imperfection, a defect, something wrong with it. And the tragedy is this. Once that belief is built inside a child's mind, it doesn't disappear when the child becomes an adult. It simply grows quieter. It hides under the surface. It speaks in a whisper instead of a shout. But it is still there, shaping every decision, coloring every achievement, turning every compliment into a question mark. The most dangerous thing about these childhood beliefs is that they feel like facts. They do not feel like opinions someone gave us when we were 7 years old. They feel like truth, like gravity, like the color of our own eyes. And because they feel so real, we never think to question them. We simply live inside them. And we wonder, quietly, privately, in the middle of otherwise perfectly normal days, why we still feel so small. Reason number 2. Social media turned comparison into a 24-hour sport. A major 2025 study from Nanyang Technological University surveyed more than 500 young people and found that prolonged social media use is directly linked to decreased self-worth, emotional fatigue, and what researchers called comparison anxiety. Our fourth vocabulary word, anxiety, anxiety, a feeling of worry, nervousness, and unease about something uncertain or threatening. Comparison anxiety is the specific nervous, unsettled feeling you get when you look at other people's lives and feel like yours does not measure up. And here is what makes it so powerful and so painful. You are not comparing real life to real life. You're comparing your internal experience, your doubts, your fears, your bad days, your private failures, to someone else's external performance, their best photos, their biggest achievements, their happiest moments. The Same Psychology Today research explains this perfectly. We compare our behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels. And that comparison, by definition, will always make us feel like we are losing. Social comparison theory, first developed by psychologist Leon Festinger in 1954, and confirmed by dozens of studies since, shows that human beings naturally measure their worth by looking at the people around them. This was useful thousands of years ago when your community was small and the comparisons were fair. But today, you are comparing yourself to 7 billion people simultaneously. The most beautiful people on earth, the most successful people on earth, the most talented, most confident, most seemingly perfect people on earth. All of them, curated and filtered, delivered directly into your hand every single morning before you have even spoken your first word of the day. It is not a fair fight. It was never designed to be. Reason number 3. Perfectionism is not a gift. It is a prison. Our fifth vocabulary word is perfectionism. Shun is Perfectionism is the belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. Many people wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. They say, I have high standards. I push myself. I do not settle. And while ambition is beautiful and important, perfectionism is something different. Perfectionism does not push you toward excellence. It pushes you away from satisfaction, because the perfectionist's finish line never stays still. Every time you reach it, it moves. You write a good essay and immediately see only the mistakes. You achieve a goal and immediately set a harder one without pausing to celebrate. You receive a compliment and immediately wonder what they did not say. Research published in multiple psychology journals confirms that perfectionism is one of the strongest predictors of the not enough feeling, because the perfectionist has set an internal standard that is, by design, impossible to reach, and every single day they measure themselves against that impossible standard and find themselves falling short. Every single day. Reason number 4. We were taught that worth must be earned, and that is the lie. This is the deepest reason, the most important one, and it is the one that most people never hear spoken out loud. From the time we are very young, the world teaches us a dangerous equation. Worth equals performance. In school, good grades equal a good student. In work, good results equal a valued employee. In relationships, being useful, attractive, agreeable equals being loved. We learn very early and very deeply that we must do something, achieve something, become something in order to deserve love, respect, and belonging. Our sixth vocabulary word, belonging. Belonging, the feeling of being accepted, valued, and connected to others. Belonging is one of the deepest human needs. Psychologist Abraham Maslow placed it at the center of his famous hierarchy of human needs, above food and safety, and just below self-fulfillment. We need to belong. We need to feel worthy of belonging. And when the world teaches us that belonging must be earned, we spend our entire lives trying to earn it, working harder, looking better, achieving more, pleasing everyone, saying yes when we mean no, shrinking ourselves to fit into spaces that were never built for us, and no matter how much we earn, the feeling of worthiness never arrives. Because worthiness cannot be earned. It can only be recognized. You were worthy before your first achievement. You were worthy before your first success. You were worthy the moment you arrived in this world. And everything the world told you after that was simply wrong. Vocabulary time, my friends. 6 powerful English words from today. Words rooted in real psychology research, real human experience, and real conversations happening right now between real people all over the world. Say each word out loud with me. Let your voice hear itself learning something true and important. Let's go. Word 1, inadequacy. In-ad-e-k. Wa-see. The feeling of not being good enough, of not measuring up. Example. Layla felt inadequacy every morning after scrolling through social media. Common phrase, I struggle with feelings of inadequacy. A deeply honest and powerful phrase that shows emotional intelligence in English. Word 2, criticism. Crit-e-a-sizum. The act of pointing out what is wrong or not good enough. Example, too much criticism in childhood can build a lifelong belief of not being enough. Common phrase. Constructive criticism helps you grow, but harsh criticism leaves wounds. Notice the difference. Constructive criticism is helpful. Harsh criticism is damaging. Word 3. Flawed, flaw-D. Having an imperfection, a defect, something that is not perfect. Example. The child built a belief system that said, I am flawed. Common phrase. Every human being is beautifully flawed. This phrase is used to describe the idea that imperfection is part of being human, not a reason for shame. Word 4. Anxiety. Anxiety. A feeling of worry, nervousness, and unease. Example. Social media creates comparison anxiety in millions of people every day. Common phrase. I have been experiencing a lot of anxiety lately. One of the most important emotional vocabulary words in modern English, used widely in conversations about mental health. Word 5. Perfectionism. Per-e-f-i-k-shun-ism. The belief that anything less than perfect is not acceptable. Example. Perfectionism sets an impossible internal standard that leaves people feeling perpetually not enough. Common phrase. My perfectionism is holding me back. Many successful people use this phrase to describe a pattern they are trying to break. Word 6. Belonging. Belonging. The feeling of being accepted, valued, and connected. Example. We spend our whole lives trying to earn belonging, but it cannot be earned. It can only be recognized. Common phrase. Everyone deserves a sense of belonging. This is one of the most emotionally resonant phrases in English. Use it, and people will feel understood. 6 words. 6 truths. Use them in conversations, in writing, in your own private thinking. Because the language you use to describe your inner world determines how clearly you can understand it and change it. Quick quiz. 3 questions. Answer out loud. Your voice matters. Question 1. What is the English word for the belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable? The belief that becomes a prison instead of a gift? Perfectionism. Well done. Question 2. What is the deep human need to feel accepted, valued, and connected to others? The need that Maslow placed at the very center of human psychology. Perfectionism. Well done. Question 2. What is the deep human need to feel accepted, valued, and connected to others? The need that Maslow placed at the very center of human psychology? Inadequacy. You remembered everything. I am so proud of you. Truly. Before I say goodbye today, I want to tell you something. Something I researched, something I believe, and something I hope stays with you long after this video ends. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not a rough draft of a better person that you still have not become. You are not a list of your failures. You are not the gap between who you are and who you think you should be. You are a human being with a real history, a real heart, and a real story that is still being written. The feeling of not being enough is not evidence that you are not enough. Psychologist Kristin Neff, one of the world's leading researchers on self-compassion, spent decades studying this feeling. And her conclusion, supported by decades of research, is this. The feeling of not being enough is one of the most universal human experiences on Earth, which means it is not a personal failure. It is a shared condition. And shared conditions can be healed, not by achieving more, not by becoming more, but by finally, quietly, and courageously choosing to see yourself with the same kindness you would give to someone you love. Thank you for watching today's episode of Learn English with One Question. I am David Phil. And this, right here, this conversation we just had together, this is exactly why I make this channel. Not just to teach English, but to remind you that the words we learn matter. Because the words we know are the thoughts we can think. And the thoughts we can think are the life we can build. If this video gave you something real today, one new word, one new thought, one moment of feeling truly seen, please give it a thumbs up right now. That one small action reaches the next person who needs this message. And if you are not yet part of our family here, please subscribe. Right now, every week we sit together. We ask one honest question. We learn real English, and we grow as learners and as human beings. I will see you next week. Until then, be gentle with yourself. You are enough. You always were. Take care, my dear friend.